oral history with Thomas S. Yarbrough, Tommy Yarbrough, or T.S. Yarbrough, who is business manager of IBW Local 1579 in Augusta. I'm Norman Slosky, and could you describe just where you're from and your family background, where you were born, and just some family background for us?
I was born in Washington County and November 17th, 1935. I spent about 17 years on a farm. All of my family was on the farm, been on the farm all their life. Dad had worked the farm until he died. I come to Augusta in 1950, I believe 1951 or 52. Went to work at a cotton mill, worked there for about 5 years, got into the apprenticeship program.
The IBW apprentice.
IBEW apprenticeship program, and went to work at the Savannah River site and stayed there for the first 2 years. Then I was drafted into the Army in 1958, October of 1958.
Was your family from Washington County?
Yes, they was.
I mean, you mentioned that your dad was a farmer. Had your family owned that land for a long time?
No, they was
The sharecroppers?
sharecrop, and he just run a big plantation there for an owner.
And what they raise?
Cotton, peanuts, corn, wheat, oats, blue lupin, everything.
Did you work the fields too?
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay. And were you expected? Did you have any brothers and sisters who?
Yes, I had. There were 6 of us, 1 girl and 5 boys.
They were.
And we all worked in the field.
And were you, which place were you in there?
I was number 1.
Number 1. You were the oldest.
I'm the oldest.
Oh, no kidding. That's interesting. Anything you remember in particular? Did you have to work pretty hard in the fields? And
I had to work very hard in the fields. I got up at 4:30 every morning, went to work, went out and got the tractor ready to go to the field. I'd go to the field and work till lunch, come home and have lunch, go back and work till the sundown.
now, is that in the summertime or the whole year?
It was summertime, and when I went to school, and when I'd come from school, I'd get home from school about 2:30, then I'd just go to the field and work all year long. You know, that was all year.
And what about your brothers and sisters? They were
Same way, same thing.
Because now, because you were the oldest, was more expected of you?
No, 1, 2, 3. There was 3 of us, me, my brother, and my sister. They was more expected of us than the other 3.
Mm-hmm.
The other 3 had to work, but not like we did.
Now, was your father in the field most of the time?
My father was in the field all the time.
All the time. Okay.
Right.
He must have worked pretty hard.
Yes, he did.
And you had to share the crop with the landowner?
Yes, I did. Yes, we did.
Yeah. Did you have enough to eat, or was it how would you? In other words, did you?
We had plenty to eat all the time.
Uh-huh.
Clothes and shoes, you know, they were scarce. We never went hungry. Always plenty to eat.
What about the house you lived in?
It was, you see them beside the road now. Sometimes like them old.
You lived in one of these houses with a rusted tin roof?
Rusted tin roof and no insulation.
Mm-hmm.
And you could look out and see the stars at night.
Yeah.
And we slept 2 to the bed.
Wow.
No fans, no air conditioning.
So how old were you when you left Washington County?
I was 17 years old.
And why'd you leave?
I had to have a better way of life.
Did you finish high school?
I finished high school and got some college credit. I finished high school after I left Washington County.
And where you finished in Augusta?
I finished in Texas.
How'd you end up in Texas?
I was in the Army.
Okay. Oh, after you joined the Army.
Yes.
And why'd you go to Augusta?
All of most all of my kin people had left the farms and come to Augusta.
Okay.
And went to work in the cotton mills. Some of them went to work here with IBEW.
Okay. Oh, so you actually had some uncles or relatives?
I had some first cousins in IBEW.
Oh, you did?
Right.
Is that how you found out about it?
That's how I found out about it, yes.
And why did you decide to join the apprenticeship program?
Well, I knew it had a good future in it because I had seen, what they done. And it was fascinating, and I loved it. I still love it.
Did you like the apprenticeship program?
I love it.
Why?
I just did. It was a challenge.
You like the wiring and learning?
I like the wiring. I like the learning. I like the challenge on anything on a test or something.
Mm-hmm.
Never failed a test in my life.
How long was the apprenticeship program when you?
4 years.
So it was a 4-year program,
Right.
and it still is a 4-year program.
It's 5-year program.
5-year program.
5 years.
Okay. And so, how old were you when you finished the apprenticeship program?
I was.
So, if you said you were 17 and worked till you for 5 years in the cotton mill, that would have
Right.
made you about 22.
About 20, I was about 21. I was about 21 when I left the cotton mill.
Okay.
And I went into the apprenticeship program about 21. I had a 2-year stint in the Army after that, after the first 2 years.
Now, was that, which year was that?
It was a year of 1958 and 59 and 60.
That was after the Korean War.
Right.
So there was
and before the
Vietnam War.
right.
Okay.
Right, sure.
You hit it right.
Yeah, you're right. Just right.
And where'd you serve in the Army?
I served in the Army out in next to White Sands, New Mexico.
Okay.
I was in the 40th Missile Battalion out there.
Mm-hmm. What kind of work did you do in the Army?
A signal. I was in signal.
Okay. Did you use any of the skills you learned in the apprenticeship program?
Oh yes, I sure did.
Did you pick up any more skills? And
Not really, because it was nothing except putting up communications, telephones and things of that nature.
Okay.
But wasn't any more skills. What
And
I
you
already learned.
And you mentioned you finished high school in Texas. How'd that come down?
The Army sent me to full-time school out there to finish my high school.
Oh, very good.
I sure did.
So that was included in your 2 years?
Yeah.
Oh, very good. So did you get a GED or a regular high school
I
diploma?
got a regular high school diploma.
So you actually went to a regular high school and sat
That's
in the
right.
classes?
Right.
Pretty good.
Sat in classes every day.
Very nice.
And they was nice about that.
And when you finished the Army, what did you do?
When I finished the Army, I come back here and I took off 3 days and then went back to work back out at SRS.
No, you didn't. So
Yes, I did.
so you had worked at SRS,
Right. I had my job when I come back.
and who'd you work for?
I worked for Miller Dunn
Miller? No kidding. How about all those years?
all the years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what kind of work did you do out there?
We had everything out there that really that an apprentice would ever run into or want. It was construction work.
Now, just so we know, you say SRS. What is SRS?
Savannah River site.
And what do they do there?
They used to make tritium and they still make tritium.
Well, it's a bomb plant.
It's a bomb plant, yeah.
Yeah.
And made the components for bombs and all.
Okay. And
For
they
the
were making.
hydrogen bombs, atomic bombs, and all that.
So you were working for Miller Dunn, who was an electrical contractor,
Absolutely right.
and did you work as part of a crew, or how did you do it?
Yes, I did. It was part of a crew, and my 4 years of apprenticeship, they would. Mr. James Carter was the project manager out there. He would take you and leave you with a journeyman about 6 months, and then he changed you to another journeyman.
Okay.
So you get diversified training.
You
Yeah.
feel like you got pretty well trained out there?
Oh yeah, all my training was done out there. I loved it.
Did you have to attend any classes when you were in the apprenticeship
Yes.
program?
We the company sent us to school out there for a half a day each week, on company time, paid for it, paid us.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last year we was a school out there. They sent us a whole day a week.
What about the IBW? Did you have to attend any classes through the IBW apprenticeship program?
No, I didn't attend them. It was all out there.
Okay, so in other words,
It was a partnership between IBEW and
Okay.
Miller Dunn out there.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Right. And how many electricians were working there at Miller Dunn at that time?
At that time, they was probably they built up probably to around 200 electricians.
Oh.
And when we left from out there, when everybody was through from out there, there was only 3 apprentices left out there, and I was one of them.
Now,
That was in 1962 when I went back out there. I was 62. I turned out.
okay.
I turned out back in 62 because I had 2 years to go. I come back October of 1960. I spent 61, 62 in school,
Mm-hmm.
finished my school.
Okay, so by 1962, you were in journeyman.
I was journeyman,
And did you become a member of IBW 1579 when you became an apprentice or when you became a journeyman?
When I became an apprentice.
Okay.
I went to work actually in November of 1956, and I joined the first meeting in January of 1957.
Why did you join the union?
Why did I join the union? Because it was, I wanted to really. It's because I could see the things that they was doing for the journeyman and all out there. And
Had you had any exposure to union before you?
never had except through my first cousins.
Who were members of IBW?
And members out of EW.
Now, had they worked out at SRS?
Yes, they had.
So did you work under any of them?
Yes,
You did.
I did at times. Yeah.
Mhm. So they must have been pretty experienced by that time.
They was, yes.
And how long did you work over at Savannah River?
I worked over there up to 1966.
Okay, so for about 6 years.
But from 66 to excluding the 2 years in the Army, I went over there in 56.
Oh, 56. Okay.
Right. And worked till about 66.
Okay. And did you work for Miller Dunn that whole time?
Miller Dunn the whole time, yes.
And where'd you work after that?
After that, I hit various jobs in various cities.
Were you traveling at that time?
Traveling at that time. I was traveling for about 8 years.
Why'd you travel?
Didn't have no work here.
Okay, so you became what they call a boomer.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
And where'd you travel to?
Well, I traveled to Alabama. I traveled to Pittsburgh. I traveled to some places in Georgia that I went to work. Went to work in Atlanta and Macon, and but I guess Pittsburgh was where I stayed the most.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stayed most of in Pittsburgh. And
Did you take your family with? Did
Always.
Helen go with you?
always took
You
my
did.
family with me.
How'd you manage that with the kids?
I just take them to school, take them out of school, put them in another school.
And did you drive? Did you get an apartment, or where'd you live?
I got most of the time I get a house.
You rent a house.
I rent a house.
Did you have a house in Augusta, or you rented a
I
house?
rented a house in Augusta.
Oh, so you just did you actually move your furniture?
I didn't move the furniture. I stored the furniture,
Okay.
and I rented a place that was furnished and all, wherever I went. And I went to a lot of places, but like I say, Pittsburgh, I stayed there for about 3.5 years, and one house, you know. And I loved it.
You did.
I did. I loved it.
How come you didn't stay there?
Huh?
How come you didn't stay in Pittsburgh?
Well, I just got sort of homesick to come back home, be around mom and dad and them for a while.
Okay. So your kids went to school in Pittsburgh for a while.
Pittsburgh, yes. Went to school in Pittsburgh. They went to school in Atlanta. They went to school in Macon. They went to school in Alabama, and they was in school in Pittsburgh.
And Helen didn't mind just picking up and moving?
She wouldn't have it no other way.
All right.
You know, a family that lives together stays together.
Yeah, I guess so. Because a lot of guys just pick up and leave.
That's right.
But they probably will not stay married.
I've seen a lot of it over my years.
Yes.
A lot of it.
So your family and children and Helen are very, very important to you.
Very important to me. Most important thing in my life.
Mm-hmm.
That and my religion, God.
Yes.
And country. My country.
What about? We'll talk about that in a while. But
Okay.
you said you traveled for about 8 years. That would take you up to about 1974.
That's right.
And did you return to Augusta?
I returned to Augusta and went to work at Dwight David Eisenhower Hospital.
Okay.
Stayed out there till it was finished.
That was a VA hospital.
VA hospital.
And
Well, no, it wasn't the VA hospital. Dwight David Eisenhower Hospital. I don't know what they called it, VA hospital or
Okay,
not. That's
okay.
out there on the post.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a post hospital.
That's the post hospital.
Okay. Okay. And is that a Fort Gordon?
Fort Gordon, yes.
Yeah. So that was a construction project
Right.
that you worked on. And so did you buy a house or get a house, rent a house in Augusta?
I bought here.
Okay, so you were planning to stay for a while.
I was planning to stay in from now.
Okay. Had work picked up in Augusta by that time?
It had picked up some. We started with Fort Gordon, And when we left there, we went over to the mall. The mall was being built.
So there's a lot of construction going on
Right,
in this area.
there was, yeah. And in fact, I was at the mall. And I was getting ready to run for this job.
Now, who was the business agent at that time?
Tom Snyder was the business manager, the last business manager before me.
And who was before him?
Bill Carter.
And how long had Mr. Carter served in office?
Served in office probably about 6 or 7 years.
And who was his successor?
Pug Snyder. Mr. Carter died in office.
Okay, right.
And then Pug Snyder come in. He served a couple of terms, I think.
Okay.
And then I run.
And how did you get involved in the union?
In 1978, I run for the International Convention.
But why do you want to run for office? What caused you to?
I had a lot of people to ask me to run.
Why?
I really don't know. I guess because they knew I was fair and I was a hard worker and they just liked me. So.
Had you worked in? Had you been a foreman or superintendent?
Oh yes, I had been a foreman, general foreman, and all that.
Okay.
Yeah. And a worker, and
Okay.
everybody knew that I was honest, and everybody knew that I was fair. So they taught me into running.
Okay. So when you returned to Augusta, you were working as a superintendent by that time? Like on the
No,
Eisenhower
I was
project?
working as when I returned to Augusta, I come back as a journeyman,
But you worked your way up as a foreman.
as a foreman and a general foreman. Yes.
Okay. Did you work for any particular contractor all the time, or just?
No, I didn't work for any particular contract. I worked for Truland Fish Packing Board at Eisenhower Hospital. I worked for Bagby Electric over here at the mall. I worked for Brom down here at the fertilizer plant down here. And I guess I was working for Bagby when I run over.
And so you said you ran for delegate to the International Convention.
Right.
That was in 1978.
78.
Did you get elected?
Yes, I did.
Where was that convention?
It was in Atlantic City.
Okay. Did you attend?
I attended and I enjoyed it.
Why did you like it? What did you see
I
there?
just enjoyed the way things was done there, and I guess it just made me a little more want to run there. You know,
So in other words, you wanted to be active in the union.
I wanted to be active into it. Yes.
And so that was 78. Did you decide you were going to run for office then?
Yes, in '79.
79. That was against the incumbent, against the guy.
No, the incumbent quit. He retired,
Okay.
and I supported the incumbent both times he run.
So there's an open seat.
Right, the open seat, and there was 5, 6 of us running.
Okay.
And me and another guy we got same amount of votes, 90 votes apiece.
Absolute time.
Absolute time. So we run, then we had to run in the election, and I beat him 1 vote.
You got elected by 1 vote initially.
1 vote, and they protested the election, and they overturned the election. And I beat him again by 1 vote.
Oh, so you had a rerun of the
Right.
election.
I beat him again by 1 vote.
Really? 1 vote?
1 vote. They protested the election, and had to rerun it. I beat him next time by 64 votes.
And that was in 81.
That was in '79.
79.
79.
Okay. And have you been in office since then?
Yes, that's it.
And did you get elected by more than 1 vote next time?
Oh yeah. Didn't have anyone running against me next time.
Have you ever had an opponent?
Oh yes.
You have.
I've had an opponent every time except maybe 3 times.
Ever looked back? Ever decided that you ever want to go back in the field?
I miss it.
You do.
I really do. I miss it. I feel like I've done some things I wanted to do in the local union here. We got our pension plan up where we can retire and enjoy, and we're taking care of the older people now, which we wasn't doing before. And I feel like we got some pretty good relations with all of the employers, and I'm hoping to leave it with a man that comes along that thinks the same way I do anyway. So it's been enjoyable. I've been here 26 years and 3 months.
Mm.
And I got 9 more months on this term, and I'm going to hang it up.
So you're going to serve out this term,
I'm going to serve out this term.
and then you're not going to retire before the term's up.
No.
Then just have an open seat
Have an open seat.
and let people go for
Let
it.
them go for it.
The same way that you did.
That's right.
Okay.
But I will be backing someone.
Okay. Tell me about some of the reasons that a couple things, maybe you mentioned some of the accomplishments that you feel in office, kind of just hit the high points. I know you've been through some pretty flush times, very busy times, and other pretty slow times.
Right.
For example, you were the business manager, I imagine pretty early in your term, Plan Vogel was constructed,
Right.
Units 1 and Units 2. What was that like? Because that was the largest construction project in the East Coast at the time.
That's right. And it was just about the only work that was going on during that time. I had 100 and something local unions represented here at one time.
You did?
Yes.
You had people, I remember you told me one time you had people come in from Alaska and everywhere.
Everywhere. I sure did. I had people working here from Alaska. And I counted it up one day, and I had 101 local unions that I had people working here.
How many electricians were working there?
3,500.
3,500?
Yes. Vogel and SRS, yes.
Gosh.
I was writing 4,500 to 4,800 referrals a year. I've done it 5 years in a row.
Wow.
People coming through and making a week or two and just going on somewhere else.
How long did that project go on?
That project went on from 1979 or 1980 really to about the middle 80s.
Now that was before what we call reciprocal agreements, or money follows the man.
Right. Reciprocals went into effect in 1984.
Explain what a reciprocal is.
Reciprocal is where the money follows the man wherever he works at. And
in other words, it goes back to his home local.
it goes back to his home local, and it should have been, that's the best thing that ever happened to a construction electrician, or anybody else really.
But before that, what happened?
Before that, you would work and just leave your money at that local union, and that was it, because you never could get vested.
So that provided a pretty strong base for the IBW pension fund,
That's
IBW
right.
1579 pension fund.
Right, it sure did. And like I say, in 1984, when we could sign reciprocal agreements, I was probably one of the first local unions that signed it.
Were you?
Because I felt very strongly that money should follow the man,
Mm-hmm.
wherever he wanted to go.
Mm-hmm. And that agreement is still in effect.
It's still in effect, yes.
So that was, I guess that was the biggest project you ever worked on.
Yeah. Right. Biggest project. And you're talking about the Vogel.
Yes, Vogel. Yeah.
That was 724 for me.
Yeah.
We had the 410s days, 410s at night,
Mm.
311s Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on the weekend.
Wow.
On the days, 311s on night. And you can imagine, I get calls at 2 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning.
We need somebody.
Better come on out here. So I had to get up and go.
Wow. Wow.
It was, of course, it was enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very enjoyable.
And what happened when that project was running down?
When it started winding down, well, we had people that we had some people out at SRS, quite a few people out there till 1989. Had probably about right at 500 electricians out there,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little more. And Vogel started winding down. I started putting a few out at SRS. And then it got saturated and I couldn't put no more out there, so I started sending some off on the roads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And of course, with working all these people here I had worked over the years, I had contacts all over the country.
Okay. So
Still have them.
So you had a lot of business agents who owed favors to you.
That's right, absolutely.
Right.
And they repay them. Still
Okay.
today they repay them.
Right. People remember, and they're
Right.
very generous to
Right.
the local members.
Just about every business manager in the 5th district has worked at Vogel.
Really?
Yeah.
Personally?
Right, personally.
That's interesting.
It sure is.
Huh.
You really don't know it until you get to talking to them, and they tell you who they work for and
Yeah.
when they work down there.
Yeah, yeah.
Just about everyone.
Hmm.
I really don't know of one that did.
Well, do you think all this talk about building another reactor at Vogel actually happened?
Oh, yes, I do think it happened.
Do you
I
think
really
it'll,
do.
do you think it would ever be as big as it was?
No, no. The reactors won't be as big. They'll come in, what we call them skids,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
partially
I
put
see.
together.
Oh. So
No, they'll never be as big.
would be constructed off-site.
Right. They'll come in and just like you see a house being, it's put together, partially put together.
Yeah,
That's the way I look them come in.
Hmm.
Because they will never be like they was down there.
yeah.
Never.
Build it from the ground up.
Right. That won't happen no more. Too much money.
Yeah,
People ain't got that kind of money anymore.
that's true. Even Vogel was very expensive.
It's very expensive. But it's paid off, it's paid off.
Oh, it has?
Oh yeah, man, they run 98%, 99%.
Oh, they really?
Oh yes. You don't find another excuse me. You don't find another reactor in the country that runs like that.
Really?
No,
And they don't have many problems there?
no problem at all.
The safety has been good.
Very good. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
We've had good relations down there with those people at Vogel, and it's worked out good for us and for them.
Who's the main contractor of Vogel?
Williams Power.
Williams.
Williams Plant Services is the name of the
Okay.
name.
Okay.
Jimmy Cleveland was Cleveland Electric was was contracting down there during construction.
They did very well.
I had 25 electrical contractors down there.
25.
25. Yes.
So every electrical contractor in the southeast must have worked there.
It probably was because I had 25 of them.
Gosh, wow.
Sure is.
Now, after that, any other big projects besides Savannah River and Vogel?
That was the biggest project. We haven't had any big projects. We had just finished up a $55 million project for the county here. It's about as big as we had.
What kind of project was that?
It was the water treatment plant. It's one contract out of Atlanta done that job.
Was that Player?
Huh?
Who did the project?
I don't know who the gentleman was on there, but
Was it Player and Company?
I'm trying to think.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think it was.
Did you have any? You mentioned that some of your cousins were in the local. Did you have any role models or anyone who was your mentor or you followed after?
Well, no, I didn't follow after them. Not after my cousins. Now they're very smart in electrical, but they were very dumb in other ways. So no, I didn't. Now my dad was my role model,
Father. Okay.
and because he was as honest as the day is long,
Mm-hmm.
and worked hard all his life. So, and I'm used to that, But as far as anybody in the electrical industry, no, I didn't have any role models in that. I made because, like I say, I love my cousins and all. They're very smart in electrical work, but dumb in other ways. I reckon you go ahead and this thing, ain't you?
No. Has the union been really important to you?
Yes, it has.
Why?
Very important. Made me and my family a very, very good living. Very good living. And it's done some things that was done before I come in. I'm talking about what the union done as far as the 40-hour thing, the 8-hour work day, the 40-hour work week, and safety and all this. So I guess safety is probably one of the biggest things that the union is backs. When I say backs, we don't want any job that's unsafe. We don't want anybody hurt on the job, and I guess Ed Hill preaches that more than anything else, really.
Ed Hill, who's General President of IBW.
General President of IBW, yes. That and giving a day's work for a day's pay. He's big on that. I am too.
I interviewed Edgar West with Ironworkers Local 709. He told me how much you and he negotiated and worked with Bechtel
Yes.
over at Savannah
Right,
River.
Yes, right.
You tell me about that?
Yeah, it was a fun time.
It was fun time.
You know it's fun time with Edgar West. And Egg and I and John Hawanitz's spent quite a while on negotiating the
I'm sorry,
project.
who's
John Hawanitz's.
And who is he?
He was in labor relations at the time out there.
For Bechtel.
For Bechtel, yes. And Edgar West and myself negotiated with him for PLA SRS
And when did that PLA come in?
in 1995.
And that covered all the craft work at Savannah River?
All of it at Savannah River, all the Davis Bacon work at Savannah River.
And how did it come about that you and Edgar ended up working on it?
We was elected by I was president of the Billson Building Trades at the time, and we was elected by the building trades to sit down and negotiate that agreement.
And I understand it was a real smooth process and without any glitches. Huh?
It was a smooth process.
Was it a smooth process?
It was.
Was it?
Egan and once we started negotiating, it was smooth. Me and John and Egan sit down right over there in my office, and that's where we sit and negotiate this thing and get it right.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got it right, we brought it back to the building trades, and building trades accepted, and I went around and got everybody's signature.
How did it come about that you got a PLA, Project Labor Agreement?
I had sued Bechtel, Westinghouse, and DOE,
Okay.
and they asked me would we go to the day before we were supposed to go in court. They called down here and asked me would I hold up on it and let's go to not arbitration.
Mediation.
Mediation. I said, yeah, if you'll get this guy that's
The WJS, right?
right.
Okay.
And this is. Well, let's get back with you. So they got back with me the next afternoon. So they said, yeah, so let's tell him we'll do it. He ain't going to get Ursula.
Mm-hmm.
I already had Ursula.
Yeah.
All I had to do was get
So I remember you had called me and asked.
Right.
Okay.
So they called back the next afternoon and said, yeah, we'll do it.
Okay.
We had set it up. Already had it. So we got Ursula and we worked over there for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And got it hammered
But
out.
why did the Bechtel want to sign a Project Labor Agreement?
It wasn't Bechtel didn't want to sign one. It was Westinghouse.
Okay.
They didn't want no part. They didn't want no union people out there. That's
Okay.
really what it was.
Okay. And what about the Department of Energy? What
They didn't want any out there either.
Okay.
So, but the Department of Energy, Bechtel, Westinghouse, and all the lawyers for them was at the mediation,
Mm-hmm.
and we got it hammered out. And Ursula said he would after he told us what to do. He said, "Now I'm gonna check back with you and see if you've done that." And we promised him we'd do it, and we did.
Mm-hmm.
It took us about a year to get this
Well,
thing.
and what
started.
was the lawsuit about? That IBW 15795.
They was doing work out there and wouldn't letting our people
Okay.
bid on the work out
Okay.
there. Wouldn't let them bid on it. Wouldn't let them do it.
Mm-hmm. And this was Davis Bacon work.
Right, they expect work out. And so I proceeded to have to do something. I had to do something. We was out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And the electrician just done it. And then when Edgar come on board with me, then me and him started working together. And I'm gonna tell you, he's a blessing to work with.
Mm-hmm.
He's he might say he's a dumb old iron worker, but he ain't no dumb old iron worker.
No, he's not.
He sure ain't.
He's pretty sharp.
He sure is.
I mean,
I enjoy.
Frankly,
working with him.
Edgar admires you very much, and I know you admire Edgar.
Oh, I'm crazy about him. I just love him to death.
Yeah.
I sure do.
And you two have actually worked together since then.
Yeah, we worked together a lot of times. Well, in fact, Edgar West and myself, when we were working on that, we had to go to Florida and meet with the building trades
Mm-hmm.
secretary.
The National Building Trades.
Right, the National Building
Yeah.
Trades. He told us not to sign that agreement until we got Paducah and somewhere in Ohio
Uh-huh.
on that agreement. He said, "You wait till we get them signed up before you sign." So me and Edgar come on back and to Augusta, and you know what we told them? We got ours signed. We got ours signed the next week.
Okay. All right.
I don't know what happened to Duke and Pinole of that Ohio.
Okay. But you've also had other disputes with Bechtel that you and Edgar have worked on together.
Oh yes, yes. We've had several disputes with Bechtel that we've worked on. I can't right offhand. I can't remember all of them, but I know Edgar was working on one a while back with this A plan, B plan thing, and in fact, it's still an ongoing issue, and and it's not going away for a while. You know.
No, it's not. Until those guys retire, it's not going to go away completely.
That's right. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But Edgar and I guess, had the best relationship of anybody on any building trade that I know of.
Very good.
And, you know, I don't cuss, but Edgar could cuss.
I can't imagine.
And I shouldn't tell this on him, but we was up there in the Ursa building when he got to saying something, and I kicked him on his leg. And he's always remembered that. He said, when I get to saying too much talking, kick me on the leg. But he's serious about it now.
You know, one thing that impresses me very much about both you and Edgar is you always keep your eye on the ball, which is jobs for your members.
That's right. Absolutely. That's all we care about.
Yeah.
Jobs for our members. And making sure our members are treated right, making sure our members treat the company right, too.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's hard to do,
Mm-hmm.
make the members treat the company right.
In other words, as you say, an honest day's work for honest day's pay.
Right. 90% of our people does that. But you got 10% that screw it up for everybody.
It seems to you that you mentioned about your father, where honesty, integrity was very important for him. Is that a value that's very important for you?
That's the honest value I live by.
Mm-hmm.
That's the value I live by, is honesty and integrity. Because if you tell a man something, a woman something, and you go back on it, your integrity is shot.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always, my dad told me, said, son, don't lie, don't steal, and work hard. Said you'll be all right through life.
Mm-hmm.
And I never told a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Now I might slip around and tell Mama, I didn't do that, Mama, you know. But tell a lie, I won't tell a lie.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't telling lies. I might tell a lie for you, but I ain't gonna tell you a lie.
Interesting distinction. Have you ever been active in other union activities besides the local? In 5th District or any other IBW?
Yes, I have. I was on council for 5 years.
Oh, you were?
You're appointed by the president to
Okay.
serve on that for CIR for five years.
Oh, you were on CIR?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was on the Safety Council,
Now, CIR is,
Council of Industrial Relations,
and that is used to resolve wage and labor
wage and labor disputes and management disputes and all.
Okay. And that is another, and how many labor people are in
You
there?
have 8 labor people and 8 management people.
And that's a national board.
Right. And everybody has to agree. Okay? You cannot have one
No,
dissenting vote.
That's different from the...
You have to sit there and negotiate until you get the whole 16 people to agree.
You must have had some pretty long meetings.
We did. Some very long meetings. Very long meetings, but most of the time it was pretty well cut. You know, like you knew what the wages had to be.
Sure.
You knew what they had to be in that area. So, so most of the time it was pretty well cut and dry. But I have sat there for 5 hours at a time
Yeah.
on one dispute.
Okay. You were, I remember for one IBW convention in San Francisco.
Right.
You were on a committee.
Yes, I was on a law committee.
Law committee.
Law committee, yes. I spent a week in Washington prior to going to San Francisco. Then I spent 2 weeks in San Francisco on the law committee.
I remember you don't like taking airplanes, so
No, I don't.
you,
I rode a train out there.
you and Helen went by train.
Right, on the Amtrak. That was very good.
How come you don't like going on an airplane?
I never flew on one.
Okay, you've never ever flown on a plane.
No.
Okay.
And I don't know. I had dreams about them things falling.
Okay.
That's the reason I ain't never got on. I'm ready to get on one.
Yeah.
My life is right. I'm ready to get on.
Okay, good. How has the IBW 1579 changed since you started in it, and how do you think it's going to, what do you think is going to happen in the future?
Well, I've seen the change from the time that I come in until now, and I don't like the change. I don't like it. And I don't like what I see in the future.
Tell me what you mean.
What I mean is when I was out there working in the field, you gave the man 8 for 8. You satisfied the customer. But it's not like that anymore. You got too many young people in here that wants to say screw the contractor, screw the customer, and all that. You know, just because they got a ticket in their pocket, they think they can do anything. And it's just a band of pretty big band of people that's like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know who I'm talking about, without naming the organization.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like the way it's going.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. Now we got the Code of Excellence, and we are implementing that here at this local union. A lot of other local unions are implementing that, so that might change things.
Mm-hmm.
That might change because if you don't adhere to the Code of Excellence, one way or another, you're going to get out.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be kicked out, pushed out, or run out of something. But you'll with the Code of Excellence, I can see this thing changing around. But I'm afraid Ed Hill ain't gonna last long enough to see 100%. And whoever we get the next time might not feel the same way he does.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see it changing. It's not changing for the better. No,
Mm-hmm.
changing for the worse.
Do you
And I hate to say that.
Do you think you've played a pretty important role in this in Local 1579?
I feel like I have. I feel like I've helped a lot of people. I feel like sometimes my goal in life was to help people. And along my way, some kind of way out, that's what I tried to do, is help them. Whether it was up or whether it was down, I tried to help them. And so, yeah, I've enjoyed these 26 years and 3 months on being business manager. And I guess the people must have enjoyed it because they've elected me every time.
Mm-hmm.
And they've elected me even to one of my sisters run against me. One of my stewards run against me.
Oh, really?
At the same time. One of my friends run against me at the same time. There was 3 of them running against me, so I still had to get 50% plus. And I did. Didn't have to have a runoff, so I guess that they still like me a little bit.
You mentioned that your family and religion is very important. Tell me about that.
Well, I'm my family has always been important. I've been a family-oriented person ever since I was big enough to know anything. So, with 5 of us boys and 1 girl, it was just don't mess with nobody, you know. So, and then I had my own family, and that's the most precious thing in the world to me, my own family. And when I say religion, it's not religion, it's my faith in God that brought me through some very trying times. Very trying.
I remember one time that Helen was very ill, and that you traveled with her out to California,
right,
Mexico. Tell me about that, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. She had cancer, breast cancer, and
Let me stop this. You had taken a trip to California when Helen had cancer.
yes, she had breast cancer, and she had her breast taken off, and about a year later, the cancer come back all over her body.
Mm.
And we went to see the doctor. They done an operation and found out it was all over her body. So they told us she had about 6 months to live.
God.
And so
And when was this?
this was in 91. It was 90 or 91. And she had, we went to see the what do they call them, oncologist?
Yeah, oncologist, yeah.
And he told us, she said, what if I take the chemo? He says, she said, what kind of life will I have? He said, some of them have a pretty good life, some are sick, some just can't tolerate it.
Mm-hmm.
She said, well, how long do I expect to live if I take it? He said, less than a year.
Mm.
She said, well, I'm not going to take it. So, and she did, and then in the meantime, her friend heard about this treatment that was in Greece. And so she went to a seminar they had up in Tennessee. About a month later, she had heard about a seminar there. And she talked to the people that had been there and done it, some cancer patients, and some of the doctors that was going to be treating. So she come back home, she said, I'm going, it says it's in Mexico now, I'm going to Mexico instead of Greece. So I sent her and a sister out to Mexico, to Tijuana, and they stayed out there 25 days. And she come back like she looked like a different woman.
Better word.
Man, she looked so refreshed and all. Mm-hmm. And so when she got off the plane, I knew something was working. Well, she had a lot of faith, that she was going to get, she was going to last. And she, for 10 years, 11 years.
So this is 1991. This is
right.
2005, and she's still around.
That's right. And in 2001, she went to her cancer doctor over at MCG, and they found some spots on her lungs.
Mm-hmm.
So we took the X-rays and went back out there.
You did to Tijuana.
Right. And the doctor showed us where each one of those spots was and told us what it was. And the cancer count was way up there. And when she left there, her cancer count was normal.
Gosh.
And she took 20-something more treatments. And that was in 2001. And we had to go back here.
Mm.
They're still doing good. Still doing good.
Very
But
good.
she's got cancer all in her bones.
Does she really?
Yes, she does. All down the femur bone down through here.
Mm.
Cancer all down the pelvic bones here.
Is she going to go back for another treatment?
Well, when she has to, she is.
How do you know when she has to?
She can tell.
Okay.
She can tell.
Mm.
And yes, she'll go back. And I'll tell you something else. I've seen some amazing things out there with prostate cancer.
Mm-hmm.
People come out there, prostate be up to 1,300 and something, the count.
Yeah.
And when he gets up to 7, 8 around here, they panic,
Mm-hmm.
This guy his prostate was at 1,300 something. He'd been out there 2 years before. And he comes back every 6 months and takes the treatment. Doing great.
Mm.
Doing great. But yes, this that and my wife's faith has really brought her through.
You think her faith has helped her life?
Oh yes, absolutely. Had it been for that, she'd have been dead.
Yeah.
She'd have been dead. Yes, and that's I've seen it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
So that has a lot to do with me knowing that things like that can help.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, I've been a God-fearing person all my life.
Uh-huh.
Ain't been a Christian all my life, but I've been a God-fearing person.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was son of saved by grace back in 1956.
Now, do you believe that if someone didn't know you real well, that you wouldn't know that you're religious and not religious? Do you keep that to yourself, or?
I keep it to myself until I see somebody I can maybe witness to or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'll do that. I got a brother I try to witness to.
All right.
And I got a son I try to witness to.
Uh-huh. You mentioned
I got my second daughter and my first son. Now they are Christians.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry about them. And I'm sure glad he is going back to Iraq this week. Hmm.
And now, is that Neil?
Neil, yeah. He's been a Christian all his life.
Hmm. And he's in the,
He's in the Special Ops in the Air Force.
okay. And he's married to a woman who's a major in the Army?
Major in the Army, yes.
He's going to Iraq. What is he going to do in Iraq? Or you don't know?
Well, last time he was there, and yeah, I know what he's going to do. He's they put one Air Force Special Op with with 12 Special Forces guys, and that's their unit.
Mhm.
And they might be anywhere in Iraq from the Syrian border right on down. And in fact, when they first got there last time, they was at the Syrian border.
Mhm.
And they killed a few people, and they left them and went on down to Fallujah.
Mm.
That's where they stayed most of the time.
Hmm.
But you can't tell. They all grow mustache. They all grow beards,
Hmm.
and of course they all carrying them weapons. But other than that, you couldn't tell them from the Iraqis.
Hmm. So they're not dressed in uniforms. They're dressed in.
They're dressed in fatigues and all.
They are.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are there any experiences that you'd like to put on here, either as local 1579 business manager or personal that are important to you?
Experiences, I guess, would be my experience on the CIR. That was the most. I learned more on the CIR than I did any other time.
And when did you do that?
Huh?
Which years did you serve on there?
It was in the 80s. In the early 80s, because I went on CIR after I was in here for 3 years.
So that was while Plain Bogle was going on.
Oh yeah.
So you were pretty busy at that time.
Oh yes, yeah. Had 2 weeks. I had a week in May and a week in August up there
Mm-hmm.
at CIR every year.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that was the best experience and the most enjoyable, other than doing the work I do here.
Did you get to learn a lot about collective bargaining negotiations?
Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. You learn more about collective bargaining than you do anything else up there, because most of that's what it's about. You'll have a once in a while you'll have a grievance on a person that's terminated and all this kind of stuff, but most of it's collective bargaining. And you hear from all over the United States and Canada how it's done, and because you sit there and read it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the most, probably the best experience I've had, other than serving here. But I've enjoyed serving here. I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed working my tools, but I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
You have to enjoy it.
You do. It's hard work.
You have to enjoy it too, because sometimes it's just like people say, "How do you put up with it?" Sometimes, well, you just have to let it roll off your back and do what you supposed to do for this membership. And that's what I've tried to do. First 3 years I was in here, it was hard to let it roll off your back. You want to take everything personal, you know.
Sure.
And but you find out that people is the friends. You ain't got but 4 friends. You got every friend you got on your finger, on your hand. Pull one of your fingers down. Always remember that. True friend.
That's interesting.
True friends that go to death with you. You know. How many friends you got to go to death with? I can count my brothers. And I got 2 brothers I know will go to death with me.
Are they living in Augusta?
No, they're electricians.
Oh, they are electricians.
Oh yeah, they're electricians.
Oh, really? Where?
But they live in Washington County.
Oh, they do.
No, they live in Washington County all their life.
They're not union electricians.
Yes, they are.
Oh, they are. Which local they belong
This
to?
right here.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Where do they work at?
One of them's retired, and one of them is working down now with he's the head man with the prison down in Washington County.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's the head maintenance man
Huh.
over all maintenance down there.
And give me their names.
All right, you got Charlie Trippy, And you got,
That's your brother?
that's my brother.
Charlie Trippy.
Yeah, Charlie Trippy.
How come he has a different last name? Oh, his last name is
Charlie
Yarbrough.
Trippy Yarbrough.
Okay, okay.
My
Wasn't
daddy
there,
was a big football
there was a
player.
football player named Charles
Charlie
Trippy?
Trippy, that's right. And there was a football player named Frankie Sinkers.
That's right, from Georgia.
That's right. And
Yeah.
my daddy named one of his other sons
Oh,
Frankie Sinkers. And so I got Wiley is the one that's retired.
Okay.
He's next to me. And he's an electrician out of here. Tripp is an electrician out of here. Wiley is Boyd, Yarbrough's electrician out of here.
Hmm.
And Wiley's other youngest, next to the youngest son, is an electrician
Oh,
out of
how
here.
about that?
And my daughter was an electrician out of here. And my son was an electrician out of here.
Angel was.
Angel was an electrician out of here.
Oh, really?
And so was Neil.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
They all go through the apprenticeship program?
All went through the apprenticeship.
Very good.
Yeah, Neil went through the apprenticeship program. He made all hundreds the last year he was there on everything he ever did.
Huh.
Every bit.
Wow.
Never failed. Of course, he was sharp anyway.
Hmm.
And Angel, she's got an honorary withdrawal. Of course, Neil in the Army, he's got one too. So.
Uh-huh. What does Angel do?
She's working with her husband. They've been working with Boardman, but right now they're working down at Bogle Shutdown.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, it's Carpenters. Yeah.
Oh, it's carpenters.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's what they've been doing for the last 15 years.
Okay.
That's what she's been doing
So
with
she-
him.
So she has a craft. She
Yeah.
works in the craft. Very good.
And he has one too. He's one of the best carpenters you ever seen.
Huh.
He's a finished carpenter, any kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
He's one of the best you ever seen.
The,
But I think that was all of the, no, I got my sister's boy is out this local. He's an electrician. He's a general foreman down at Boulder. My sister's other boy, he is a journeyman out of Albany, Georgia. And, let's see if we're getting him all. Oh yeah, my first cousin, he was, the ones I told you I was in here before I come. His son's in here. He's worked for Cleveland. He's superintendent of Cleveland.
mhm.
So, just about the whole family is electrician.
Very good.
Just about every one of us is electrician.
You said you were attracted yourself because you had cousins in Louisville.
That's right. And I got my uncle's boy is an electrician
Mhm.
here. And
Tommy Yarbrough's mother just passed away, and I wanted to tell something about her. And how old was she when she passed away?
she was 90 years old back in March of this year.
Mhm.
And we was down, we was sitting out on the porch about a month and a half ago before she died, and I said, I was looking out there in the
Did
field.
she live in Washington County?
Washington County, yes. And I said, Mom, I said, look at these fields out here. I said, you remember the times that we used to pick cotton and chop cotton out here? And I said, how bad it was, how hot it was. She looked at me, she said, I sure do, said, but it didn't hurt us, did it? I said, I guess not. You're 90 years old. I had never heard her, so, but she was quite a woman. Never complained in her life.
Did she live in her house for a long time?
She lived in her house until a year ago.
Till a year ago?
Yeah.
Did she, and did she live, did she move out of the house in which you were raised?
She moved out of the house, no, she moved out of the house and we had to put her in a nursing home because everybody was working at the time. We couldn't, nobody could stay there with her. And and that's where we was at when we was talking about those fields up there. But she stayed home until a year ago. We had to put her in a nursing home.
But did she live in the same house where you were raised?
No, no,
Okay.
no. She had a house up there by one of my brother's trips.
Okay, okay.
And in fact, she had stayed on Tripp's place there for the last 10, 15 years, you know,
Mhm.
right next to him. And of course, he was going to work every day. His wife was going to work, and she got away. We just couldn't trust her to be there by herself.
Mhm.
And we put in a nursing home up there. It was a very nice nursing home up there in Washington County. And she liked it.
Mhm.
She liked it. She said, in fact, she asked me, said, how you like my home here? I said, I like it, Mom. How do you like it? She said, I love it. So
Very nice.
she She died about 2 weeks ago, and it was. I didn't expect it really. Not like that.
Mhm.
I really didn't. So, but I guess the good Lord knows best. And
Well, she had a pretty full life.
very full life. Very full life.
Wow.
Really.
How many grandchildren she had?
She had 20. I think she had 16 grandchildren and 26 great grandchildren.
26 great-grandchildren.
I believe is what it was. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
42 grandchildren, great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
How about that? When did your father pass away?
He passed away in 1975.
Well, quite a while ago.
Oh yes, he was sort of a young fella. He was 61, almost 62 years old. Yesterday.
Wow.
He had, I guess you would say, it was hardening of the arteries or something. I don't know what it was, something like that. So that's what the doctor said it was. Anyway.
Uh-huh.
But you know, when you eat that fat back, eat that ham, and you kill your own food and all, and you know, it's all greasy.
Mm-hmm.
So didn't know about taking care of themselves. But
Okay. We're going to end up here then.